grant all your wishes. If you promised me 1,000 kisses, I will never love another like you. So give me all your secrets, your fears and doubts, honey, you don't need them. I will never find another like you. And the air's getting thin, where the wings meet the wind. We see it, we can feel it, and we know this. I believe in something more, all the days that came before. Let us ride to where we are, right to where we are. It's all written in the stars, we've already come so far, and we can't change who we are, who we are. Who we are, who we are. I don't have all the answers, but right now is all that matters. I can never love another like I loved you. And we don't have to understand. Fate always has the upper hand, and fate chose me and you. I believe in something more, all the days that came before. Let us ride to where we are, right to where we are. It's all written in the stars, we've already come so far, and we can't change who we are, who we are. Who we are, who we are. Who we are, who we are. And the air's getting thin, where the wings meet the wind. We see it, we can feel it, and we know this. I believe in something more, all the days that came before. Let us ride to where we are, right to where we are. It's all written in the stars, we've already come so far, and we can't change who we are, who we are. Who we are, who we are. Legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you bleed for reaching greatness, relentless, you survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. It's deep in their bones, they'll rot into smoke when the fire is fierce. No, pick yourself up, 'cause legends never die.
Okay, so all right, new layout. Look at that.
It's nice.
Anita, you're not in that little corner anymore.
Yes, I like this.
Hey, Tyler.
Oh my goodness. Mr. Moneybags over here.
Yeah, apparently pandemic makes you a little bit all over the place. No place to spend your money. That's fine. You can keep spinning it here. It's all good. I thought we just did start this. Like,
We're talking about
When
this.
Katie gets back, let me know.
okay.
This is Anita. It's amazing.
All right.
I have
Thanks.
something for you, Katie. There you go. All those ads just for you.
right. All right. So take 2 or second episode, whatever you want to think about it. Talking politics. Me and Anita. So okay. After this week of seeing some crazy people demanding their want to go back to work, I guess if you want to look at it that way. Look at you just throwing all kinds of bits.
I am.
I think when you're in the cast, you're not supposed to pay for it.
What?
Right? I think when you're in the podcast, you're not supposed to cheer, are you? That's like me
Well,
cheering.
no,
for myself.
it's not against TOS. Like, it's not my stream.
No, I know. I was just trying to be funny.
Oh, got it. I get what you're saying.
So anyway, one of the things I was thinking about talking about is just the protests of getting, I guess you could say, opening places back up, the reasoning behind that, and so on and so forth, I guess. There's other things, obviously, we can talk about, but I think that's where I wanted to kind of open it up. I thought it was really... I'm trying not to be hateful on this, but how stupid it is to protest to make yourself vulnerable to die.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I understand, being scared that the world is not going to continue to give you money to survive. But all the reasons they're sitting there and protesting, it just seems really ass backwards. Like, why not use this protest to start trying to get, universal base incomes or Medicare for all? Then you wouldn't have this issue of not being able to go back to work.
Yeah.
Have you been seeing these protests?
Oh yeah. And I've there have been crazy reports, reports like a nurse had bleach thrown out at her. Stupid.
Yeah.
And also I came across a meme recently that I think really sums up everything that is happening, namely with the two-party system. And I'm going to share it actually with you. I'll share it to you in Discord. I thought it was just perfect though, because we've discussed the two-party system and how I think it's problematic. Sure. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go beyond that and say that it is problematic. It's not even just about what I think; it's what I know. Here, let me try to find that. But basically, God, I'll see if I can find it.
Sure.
But anyway, well, we go ahead with what it is that you wanted to talk about. You wanted to talk about more of that. Did you want to talk about the evidence? Didn't you want to talk about the evidence surrounding Joe Biden?
Oh, do you want to go for that right now?
Is that what you want to talk about, or do you want to?
Well, I was gonna. I mean, just more thinking about this idea of protests and reasons, and I mean, I want to talk about that later too.
Okay.
But I was more thinking of sitting
the protests for a bit. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things that stood out to me is if you notice what all their signs say, it's not about them going back to work. It's about people who serve them to go back to work. Like, and how is that not a bigger story? Like, I'm sure there's memes about it. We've seen them scaling through Facebook and whatnot, but how is that not the focus on here? I saw one meme where it showed a guy with a and let's get to the weapons here in a few minutes too. But one guy one meme rather, has a guy full garb, military garb. I don't know what kind of weapon it is because I'm not a weapon specialist, but all the little gadgets sitting on this weapon. The guy breaks it down that it's super expensive. Like the gun itself with all the little gadgets on it was well over a few $1,000s. By the way, but the chat is not working. It's working on the side, but it's not working in here. Yeah. Is it? It's not online. Oh, now. Oh, well, fine. That's actually what it is then. It's just been, this has been sitting. I got it. But this guy breaks it down like that's like a $1,000 piece there. That's a $500 piece there. This guy's obviously making money somewhere, and he needs people to get back to work so he can make more money on his own or have people serve him in whatever fashion he thinks he deserves. I guess which also then leads to privilege, right? If you think about who's the governor or senator in Texas who said that people need to get back to work and we need to, not have an economic downturn because people are scared of getting sick or something along those lines. Or he said something along the lines of, if we have to sacrifice our grandparents or the older people for their future of their kids, it would be okay. It's something he would be okay to do. I don't remember who the guy's name was. I should have looked that up. But my thought is, motherfucker, we all know you would have every available medication, test, respirator, anything to save your ass. Your ass is not on the line just because you're old. No, it's not Ted Cruz. I could probably bring it up real quick. Texas politician. It is not Ted Cruz. Politician who said the elders will sacrifice.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Was it a representative, maybe?
Yeah.
I can't remember, but I do know what you're talking about.
And it sounds very heroic, right? When he's saying, I'll die for the future of my grandkids. But we all know that he won't die from that. Even if he got sick, he would have the best care. It's all the people who have no money who are going to die. And that doesn't matter what age they are. I think it was Lieutenant Governor. Yeah, that was him. Okay, Lieutenant Dan Patrick. That's right. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. Why are we not holding these politicians up for accountable? Now, mind you, I feel bad I don't feel bad about this because, hey, if you create a party that looks at their citizens the way that they do, you got to call them out. And it is mostly, at least verbally, the right who calls these things out. Now, do someone on the left do that? Absolutely. More than likely. They're just not dumb enough to get on TV and say it. And I also, actually, a lot of things that I think that Trump gets thrown in on things is because he actually says what a lot of the right and the left say in behind closed doors. He's just such a big idiot that he doesn't know when to shut up. But anyway, it's a little side rant.
For sure. So I was really hoping that we were going to get Tyler in here because Tyler is right wing, isn't he?
Tyler, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you said last week you said you are a Republican, but with your eyes open.
Well, I was curious as to what you think about what Donald Trump has been saying. Like he's been basically acting like he knows more about this health crisis than top officials, like leading health officials. Like he's going against what a lot of what Fauci is saying, for example.
Twitch. Gotta wait like the 30 seconds for it to happen. And just to reiterate, I'm assuming you mean like, what does he think about Trump's stance on that?
Yeah. I'm curious about your stance on that. I don't understand that mentality, like, and justifying that.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I have a bad connection, so if I cut out, let me know.
We'll do.
So I actually don't know what you're talking about. I have been working really hard this week, and I haven't followed the news at all. What was he saying?
Well, okay, so Anita, if you heard more than this, please correct it. I'm assuming him making a statement saying that if we inject disinfectant into people who are sick, it will cure them. Which is one of the, and basically all science is saying, please don't do that. Hell, even the companies that make those products are saying, please don't do that. Now he's come out and he's said that he was joking, but if you watch the interview or the press conference where he says it, he's not joking.
Regardless, even if if people want to claim that he legitimately was joking or that he misspoke or anything like that, there have been actually an increase in rates of poisoning from people. People were actually doing that. They were ingesting and injecting things like disinfectants into their bodies.
Okay, I gotta be honest. If he did say that, that would be a really retarded thing to say. And Trump, I will admit, he says a lot of things, he does a lot of things that are retarded, but it's like I told Katie, there's only a few things that swing my vote on who I vote for. I don't like government interference. I like guns, and those two things have a lot to do with who I vote for.
Okay, so then a lot of the more finer points of political life, you don't really. I don't.
Well, I would probably follow politics a lot more if I wasn't so busy. Like last week alone, I got 65 hours of time put in at work, and so I don't follow the politics, just a lot of people do.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, like, that's why I said I didn't hear anything about him saying this because I haven't been watching.
Yeah. Well, that's probably for the best you didn't hear him say that. But there actually have been a lot of memes about people making fun of that. But in reality, it's a serious issue because, like I said, there have been reports. There was an increase in reports of people using disinfectants to try to combat COVID-19 because of what Trump said.
Yeah, I mean, we have a person of power who obviously has no understanding of what that power means. You know, if you think of, if we even take this away from Trump, let's go back to when Bush was president. And when 9/11 takes place, we rally around our leader, whether we hate him or not. We become a lot more pro our USA or country, however you want to speak of it, because it feels, especially when we feel like we've been attacked. In the situation of 9/11, a lot of us were ready to go to war, even those who probably didn't like war, because it's smack to our face. And when you're growing up a certain way, you kind of get that. Now, since that event has taken place, there might be a lot more resistant to kind of fall into that kind of mentality. But when you have someone who doesn't understand the position of the power that he has, and he's speaking, whether it's off the cusp as a joke, he doesn't realize how people take his words. But then I don't think he gives a shit either. Let's go away from that type of power. Let's just go to power in general. Bill O'Reilly used to constantly berate doctors who performed abortions and kept calling them baby killers, baby killers, baby killers, baby killers. And eventually someone tried to kill a doctor because he worked at a abortion clinic or a clinic that did offer that. I don't know if he was a doctor who performed those things. And whether you're pro-choice or you're pro-life, there's something wrong with that. If you have a position of power, you cannot just scream fire in a theater and expect not to get consequences for that.
I agree with that. I'm pro-life myself, but I don't think that's okay to go kill a doctor because he performed an abortion. That's
right. Well, and I think that's a lot of and to be fair, Tyler, I even though you consider yourself a Republican, I think a lot of things those are really bad points. Like, people usually fall in line with these kind of things. Like you said, you're pro-life. There's nothing wrong with that. Cool. I have no problem. For you, that doesn't mean anything. For me and Katie, obviously, we're we had our child and never even crossed our mind. But I don't want to take that away from somebody else who might run into that situation. I don't know their situation. And then
well, if there was a party that would just leave people alone for the most part, I would probably swing with that party most likely. Like I said, I don't want government interference. You want an abortion? Go have an abortion, but I never will. When I get married, I seriously doubt I ever will.
Sure.
And it goes the same way. Like, obviously there has to be government interference in some things. Otherwise we'd have criminals running around doing whatever the hell they wanted, when they wanted.
Sure.
So I'm not 100% against it, but at the same time, live and let live.
So I have a question for you, Tyler. You say that you're a Republican, but that you also want limited government interference. And that's what the Libertarian Party actually advocates for. That's one of their main platforms. Have you considered switching to the Libertarian Party?
Well, honestly, I haven't voted. I have not voted before.
You've never voted?
No. The last election, I was not 18.
Oh, yeah. That's right. You're
Oh,
21.
okay. So you're a youngin'.
Yeah.
Okay.
21. I'm 21, right?
Okay.
So are you going to vote this year, or are you?
I absolutely will, but it'll definitely be researched.
That's good.
So do you think that you might consider voting for a third party candidate? I mean, maybe even the Libertarian
Hold
candidate?
on.
Oh. Wait, what? Well, Libertarian Party is.
On your phone.
Did we lose him?
Oh, we might have. I will also mention that as far as the Libertarian Party goes, that's the third
I'm back.
largest political party in the United States.
Well, it is
I'm
a
sorry, I cut out for about a minute there.
fine. I need to ask if you'd be considering voting for a third party candidate, maybe even as the Libertarian Party candidate.
Well, who's running there?
I'm actually not sure who's running this year on the Libertarian ticket, but I mean, like I said, that's what you just described to us is that you want limited government intervention, and that is what the Libertarian Party advocates for. It's a huge part of their platform.
Right. A lot of the libertarians still hold a lot of conservative and right wing, but they do want less government interference or
Well,
control.
If you look back through history, more government has never been a good thing for anybody. The more government controls everything, the more poverty there is everywhere. More.
I think. I mean, obviously, there. I mean, if you go back to Nazi Germany, obviously there was an extreme amount of government control there. That
Killed 9 million Jews there.
right. I mean, like, I don't know if we've ever had a government that was made by the people for the people. I think government has always been a form of control. Period. Whether it was a dictatorship or something along those lines, I would say that you would probably have to go back, and this could be my ignorance on this point, but you'd probably have to go back to early Roman times before even the Romans got corrupted.
Well, are you saying when you say we, do you mean are you talking about the U.S. or are you talking about governments all over the world?
For me, I was saying
Mostly.
world.
Yeah,
What?
but I'm talking Europe and Asia.
So world.
Oh, the world. So I know that there actually is a true form of democracy, like where one vote is one vote. And those are, I think it's in either Sweden or Switzerland. There are certain places where forms of true democracy actually do take place. One could argue.
But I think, I mean, I guess what I was taking anyway from what Tyler was asking was that it would be where people kind of live their own lives. Government's there to make sure that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tyler, government's there to enforce laws, as in you can't kill that person and get away with it.
Right. There has to be that. Otherwise, what would stop me from going out on the street and shooting somebody?
Right. Whereas
If there was no government, the amount of lawlessness would be insane.
but it's also just one of the things though with government is regulation, right? I mean, and that's what laws are. Is it's more about regulation and making sure that the meat company doesn't give us shitty meat to make us sick. You know, that's a regulation. There's a law. You have to make sure that they meet certain standards before you give it to the public. Now, is there some corruption in that right now? Yeah, of course. But that's also because we've allowed our politicians to be corrupted, and we have not made them answer to us. And that's, we kind of touched on that a little bit last week. I guess in my perspective of government overreach, it's more about where do we want that overreach? And actually that kind of goes with one of the topics I wanted to talk about today too, was about social programs. If we why, like I even brought it up when I was talking about the protest part, Like, why aren't we protesting to demand rights instead of majority of our money going towards a industrial complex or a military complex? Why aren't we putting it into our own people instead of the stimulus giving a fraction to the people and majority to corporations? Why aren't we giving more money to the people to spend that money into the economy to drive it? And again, I think that's a form of corruption.
Yeah.
So at the start of this, you mentioned the protests, people wanting to go back to work.
Mhm.
I'm kind of on the fence with that. There's obviously the need to slow the spread of this virus. You know, not overload hospitals. Just if everybody was out getting everybody sick, then that would definitely be a problem. But if you sit back and look at the numbers, here, let me look this up. There's been 55,000 deaths in the United States from COVID-19.
Mhm.
That's less deaths than we have in 1 year from the flu.
That's 1 year, though. You're talking that's 55 deaths in 3 months.
That's true. That is true. And I'm not saying this isn't a problem. It is dangerous. It needs taken care of. But if we don't go back to work, shit's gonna happen.
Sure.
These
So
businesses, small businesses, like say for example, the company I work for, if we hadn't kept working, they would only last 5-6 months, and then they wouldn't be there anymore.
that is definitely going to be a problem, obviously. I mean, because if you have no product to sell, or if you have nobody to make the product to sell, then you can't get income, which means you can't pay your employees. Which it's basic economics 101, right?
So, yeah. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't see a problem with the way everybody quarantined, they isolate. I think that drastically lowered the number of deaths that we would have seen today. But how far do you take? Like my mother lives in Oklahoma City, and she said the hospital there dedicated 2 entire floors to COVID-19 patients. She was there the other day, and one of the doctors was saying that the floor is just completely empty.
Well, I mean, that's good. I mean, that means
It is. So how long do you keep going? How long do you keep isolating? I'm trying to.
Well, I guess my answer would be until we have tests that are able to be done everywhere. Because we're not going to be able to fight it until we know who has it and who doesn't have it. And the problem is the incubation period. Somebody can go days, 14 days, and be asymptomatic and could be a carrier. Oh,
That's true.
Well, I mean, the thing is, though, it's important to listen to what health officials have to say, and to say that you know more than a health official, which is kind of what Trump has been doing, is very ignorant, to say the least. If they're saying that it's best to keep businesses closed longer, I understand that I think that we all understand how tough that is. It's not an easy decision, but saying that is meant to save lives. And also, we've seen reports of also things that we didn't even see. This virus is much more dangerous than we realize. It's actually been causing strokes in people.
Mm-hmm.
So, Slevin, you asked where is that hospital? Tyler,
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City.
I don't know which one it is, but that's where my mother lives, and she was just talking about it. She says there's nobody there. It's empty.
Is that in a rural area or more city area? Do you know?
She lives in.
I probably won't know this town, to be honest.
It's just east of Oklahoma City. It's about 30 minutes east of Oklahoma City.
So relatively, it could be rural, more rural than.
It is in Luther. She lives in Luther.
Okay, so 650,000 people in OKC. I mean, yeah, for a city, that's actually a relatively small number. I think Vegas is in the millions. So,
Wow.
Well, right. And
I don't know,
obviously, like, New
only
York is gonna
650.
dwarf that.
That's kind of a lot.
well, I'm not saying that it's not a lot of people, but if you compare it to other cities, like Vegas is technically a small, well, up to recent years is a small city, and we're hitting close to the 3 million mark. Whereas you look at LA, I don't even know what those numbers are, but I know it's LA population. I guess I'm just trying to,
Well, right. I wasn't trying to compare that place to say that the rest of the country's fine. It was just
no, I got you. No, I got you. I wasn't trying to make out that you were trying to make the light of the situation from one example. I mean, I definitely think that our state actually minimized our death rate because of how quickly they responded. Whereas, New York, I think New York was more about population density than anything else. But maybe they didn't shut down quick enough because of knowing that density. And I missed a question. I know I did.
I'm not in the stream anymore. I didn't want to hear myself twice.
Yeah, fair enough. So real quick, Monkey Shines, business and politics. Something happened at the smaller co-op I work at that pissed you off. What pissed you off? I hate this delay. It's so long.
I know. Donovan also said something. Decaspertus also said something interesting.
You want to close early to go to the protest in St. Paul? So, you better not pay people so you can go spread possible disease. Oh, and then she posted on Facebook about it. Interesting. Kind of speaks for the whole. Yeah, I don't know. I totally disagree with the protests.
Oh, I disagree with the protests as well.
I mean, like, to me, it's, and I mean, again, kind of what we were going back to is saying that, yeah, sure, the economy has to get started. We're going downward at a huge rate. But if there's nobody to work because they're all sick and dying, where do you draw the line? or if your customers won't go because they're sick, I mean, what do you do? And this is why I think this is different than the flu. In the flu, we kind of got a handle on it, right? We've understand that we stay at home for a few days, we get through it, we move on. Whereas this, it goes 6 days without us knowing. We go to the supermarket, pass it along to somebody else for, I mean, last time I heard, I think it could live on an item that you touch for 14 hours or something like that.
It can survive in paper for a week.
Or, okay, so that's even worse. So as you're not realizing that you're sick and you're touching something, a week later, someone else touches it and it blows all back up again, right? I think until there's a cure, obviously, the only way that we can combat this is to stay at home. But I also think that what needs to happen is we need to start looking at how do we make things like this not affect our economy in such a drastic way. And I mean, to be fair, I am a very big on social programs. I think we should have a UBI. I think we should, instead of us giving money to build things that we can destroy other countries, that we should be reinvesting in ourselves. Our country can be destroyed easily if the rest of the world just said, you know what, we're not going to use the dollar as our benchmark anymore. We're going to go to the yen.
So I'm looking at chat and Spike said something. So that 1 million people have tested positive for it. Those are the ones that have tested positive.
Right.
There is a huge shortage of testing available right now. And the death rate is underreported across the world. In India, for example, many people are dying outside of hospitals. They're not receiving medical care.
I mean, I guess whenever we think about, the implications of what's happening, right? Like people not making business or not being able to make money. And then I see the conspiracies, the numbers are fake or the numbers don't match or this and this. And I'm not saying that, having a hospital floor empty is not showing a little bit of proof in that. But my thoughts is who would benefit for the world to stay home? Like I mean, who's making money off of people just hanging out at home? I mean, right now I can imagine that Lowe's is probably making a hell of a lot of money because people are going and buy stuff to do stuff in their backyard like I did, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what the benefit of keeping everybody home is doing.
You don't understand the benefit of keeping people at home?
No. I mean, obviously, to fight the virus, that makes sense. But what I mean is the people who think this is a conspiracy, that the government's forcing us to stay at home. I don't understand who do they think the beneficiary would be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it.
And to me, I'm always like, well, who's getting the money?
Yeah. So public office was also brought up. Do we want to still talk about this, or do we want to talk about something else?
I'm fluid. We can do whatever.
So, well, I was gonna, because I saw that Spike mentioned it, that they would run for public office. And I was just going to mention that I have run for public office before I ran for city council. And I thought it was a very interesting experience. And some of my ideas were actually later instituted in city council in the city that I was in.
Interesting.
Would you ever run for public office, Kat? Blind Kat?
You talking to me?
Or would you?
I'm
Tyler?
sorry, I just cut out really bad, so I didn't quite hear what you said.
Would you run for public office?
Maybe when I'm older. My dad says that nobody would like me. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
what? What did you say?
Okay. My dad says nobody would like me there. I'm too blunt.
Nobody
you
would
definitely
want
just-
to be there.
Nobody would like me there because he says I don't play nice with people I don't like.
Mm.
I guess there would be a level of needing to mince your words if you're talking to people, especially if you wanted them to vote for you.
I mean, who knows? I might. I get sick of everybody else. If I did, it would definitely be on a platform of. I don't think I'd run Republican or Democrat.
Okay.
Interesting. I thought about it a couple times, running, but almost for the same reason. I don't think I would do good. Except for the one thing that I noticed that, I mean, Trump probably should have been in jail for the shit he said, but he got elected president.
Talking about the injections.
No, just in general, just how he speaks. You know, I could kill a man on the middle of the street, broad daylight, and I'd get away with it. Like stuff
Yeah.
like that. It's not what we've ever
I
been
never
used
heard
to.
that one.
Oh, that was during his election.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he said that.
He also said, I mean, and then the stuff about you know, how he grabbed women and you know, it's a total disrespect for someone who was running for such a high power. It's ridiculous that he was elected in that fashion. So I say that people probably wouldn't like what I would say and how I would say it, but who knows? I mean, we have a person in power. I never thought. Matter of fact, I owe people money because I made a bet on it. So
Well, you aren't the only person that bet on it.
yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, what about school? What position would you run for if you were to run for public office?
You know, I don't know. I mean, obviously, you have to do your steps, right? You would have to, you know,
I
city
would-
council might be a
yes,
good place to start.
Probably start local, state level.
Okay.
I'd want to go. I think I'd probably want to go for either Senate, maybe Congress. You know, write the laws would be, or have input on the laws.
You would want to run for Congress.
Or Senate.
What do you mean? State Senate?
Yeah. Well, I mean, federal Senate, but for a state, like to represent the state at the Senate level.
Well, there's federal Senate and then there's state Senate. So I'm confused.
Right. Federal. So I would go to DC to represent, not to be localized at the Senate. I'd want to be to mandate the law of the land, not necessarily just the state. Does that make sense?
Oh, so you'd want to run for Congress?
But isn't Senate, Congress and Senate are from what I understand, Congress does the budget and the Senate does the.
No, Congress is made up of the House and the Senate. There's the United States House Representatives and there's United States senators, and they both make up Congress.
Okay, so then okay.
So do you? Yeah.
What,
So like,
what roles do they play?
well, the biggest they do have different roles, but something to note is that each state can only have 2 senators,
Right.
whereas your representatives are dependent upon your state's population.
Mhm.
And also, representatives are there for only 2 years. Their terms only last for 2 years, and the senators are there for 6 years.
Right. I didn't know that. So okay. I don't know. I guess I would have wanted to do more of the Senate, probably. You know, I
What
guess.
specifically would you want to do in the Senate?
Well, like I said, be part of the laws committees and stuff, get things passed.
Well, yeah, but what laws specifically would you want to get passed?
Let's see. If I'm not mistaken, like to do Medicare for all would be part of that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's a law that you could propose. I believe, Bernie Sanders has tried to pass laws like that. It's hard to get those passed. Is Nevada a blue state?
I believe it is currently a blue state. I think it's more blue now, but it's still a swing state.
Oh,
But
is
it's
it?
been-
Okay.
Yeah. So purple, if you will. Like we have some. We trying to think. Our last Senate race, Nevada. Let's see. So we have Jackie Rosen, Catherine Cortez Masto, which I do believe she is also a Democrat. Yes, she is. So we have both senators as Democrats, but then our local we have Republicans. So for our governor, no, I'm sorry, our mayor.
Oh, I heard about that, Katie. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? I forgot. That's true. That's true.
What is it?
The mayor.
Our mayor was an idiot.
I heard something about a mayor being an idiot over there, but
So yeah, you're okay. So who is that mayor? I don't know the name of that mayor. What is the name of that mayor?
Carolyn Goodman.
And she wants to open the state back up just to see what will happen.
She wanted us to be a control group.
Mhm.
So we can be tested to see if it'll work.
What do you guys think about that?
She's an idiot. You know what's funny is I thought I did read this and I just looked her up. She is an independent. She is not red or blue.
Well, is your city council nonpartisan though, including for mayor?
I don't know, actually.
Because that makes a difference.
Let's see.
Because I know in some places it's nonpartisan, but other times you have to register with a party.
I'm pretty sure we do have affiliations.
So she might be independent by default, is what I'm saying.
Right.
So, DCAS asked about having a law seeing psychological testing for anyone in a place of power. That kind of goes back to my question from last week of whether or not you think people should test to vote. Do you think that people should have to get tested to run for certain people of power?
I am
Crazy.
generally against something like that because I think that leads down a slippery slope of ableism.
But do you think? But that's for people who are running for office, not for people who are voting. Last week we were talking about for voters.
No, I know.
Oh, okay.
I think it applies to both.
I don't know. I think if you should be able to. I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on the tests, right? What are the tests that we put into it? I mean, if they're ridiculous tests, then whatever. But I don't know. I for instance, Biden would come up as he's not sane enough to run for president, and maybe those types of tests should be even at a higher rate once you get up to the higher end positions like president of the United States.
Well, I mean, you don't have to have any certain qualifications in order to run for any particular office.
As we've
Except
seen.
unless it comes to like an attorney general or a judge position.
Right. Shit.
Joe Exotic. I am pleased to announce that I have not watched the entirety of Tiger King. I just couldn't.
I haven't watched it at all.
It's interesting.
We just watched the interviews for the very end of it. Oh my god, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's probably the best part of the whole show.
Totally the best part of the whole show.
I didn't watch it at all.
It's interesting.
So,
I was told that they actually glossed over how racist Joe Exotic was. That they didn't address that at all.
They didn't address a lot of things that were kind of glaring in a lot of it. I guess, I mean, I don't know. That whole show is just one big shit show.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't watch it all. I watched like 2.5 episodes. I was like, oh my god, I'm done with this.
So it's a little off topic for political, but it's something that Blind and I had talked about a while ago, and it kind of falls into line with this whole Joe Exotic shit. But someone had posted a meme on Facebook of a guy handing a homeless person food and taking a selfie with it, and whether or not we think that should be okay. I stand on the side that I think that while his intention may be to gain fame, the benefit of other people seeing it and going, hey, maybe I normally wouldn't have done this, so I'm going to go do it now because so-and-so did it. I think the benefit outweighs the negative of people using good acts for publicity. What do you think?
That's interesting that you stated. I think that it is really selfish to do something like that, and it takes the humility out of it. I mean, if you want to be a good person, just be a good person. You don't need to get you shouldn't be doing it because you think you're gonna look good doing it. You shouldn't do it because you think you're gonna get accolades or appraisal for it.
And I agree with that. I just think that, someone gives someone something, like some guy gives someone, a homeless person, food, and he doesn't post online, and that's the end of it. So he does it, and he posts online because he's trying to do it for fame, and then 10 other people decide to join in and do this because they saw so-and-so do it. I think that those 10 other people are now getting fed, and that's a good thing. Regardless if the guy that originally did it was a douchebag doing it for selfish reasons, I think that the benefit outweighs the negative, and food for homeless is food for the homeless.
Okay, I mean that's a valid point.
I think it creates a bad precedent, and that's why we were debating on it the other day. It's kind of like the idea of the what I was using was how a lot of people would say, government shouldn't be involved with trying to, like, welfare, for instance. Let's just say government shouldn't provide welfare. Let's just say that for right now, because the churches will give money to families to help raise those kids. Right? I don't know if you've ever heard that. I've heard it before. I don't remember where I heard it. And so to me, I think if we start idolizing these people who do these things, then people who want to do nice things might not do it for the correct reasons. And if they don't feel like they'll get praised for it, then they don't do it at all, which I don't know. I had a much clearer debate with her when we were talking about it. My mind's not even there anymore. So thanks, babe. I don't know.
I have to agree with Blind on that. People using that for a political statement would be wrong.
And for fame,
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of it.
If Jeff Bezos went and fed 10 people on the side of the road and got media coverage for it, that's not cool. He could feed 1,000 people, and then I'd feel better about it.
Or give his employees sick days paid. I don't know. I think it creates too many variables in that, and people that just do it for fame. It's kind of disgusting. So I agree with you, Anita. If you're gonna be a good person, go be a good person. Don't do it to gain money off of it.
Or fame.
Or fame. Minor rights. There are still children being mistreated and adults be abusing their parents. It's a subject that I hold at heart because I've been there myself. So, DCAS, are you talking about parents being like screened before they're able to have kids? Is that what you're make sure that they're psychologically there and stuff like that? Because if that's the case, I'm a little on the fence with that. I think you have somewhat of a valid idea there that not every asshole should be a parent, but then you're starting to go to the point of saying that in order for you to have sex with a woman or a woman to have sex with a man or whatever, you have to get permission from the government. And I think that's when you start seeing government overreach, especially in that case. But I'm totally assuming that's what you meant in that question. What do you think, Anita? Do you think parents should be screened before they have children?
Do I think that parents should be screened before they have children?
For like psychological problems or?
No, because I think that again, I think that's really ableistic, and it's going to lead down a slippery slope. Even if the intentions were right, it just is basically going to lead to eugenics.
So, and then we're always going to be faced with the idea, well, then how do we make sure that children aren't being raised in abusive homes or being mistreated? As shitty as that is, you got to give people the options and not cross that line, in my opinion. As shitty, I mean, it's just like anything else, right? Like if you know, do we not allow people to hunt to feed their families? What are you doing? Well, hi Tyler.
Tyler took over the pictures. Hold on. There you go. Moving things around. Don't do that to me.
I'm
Anyway,
sorry, I was trying to unmute. I bumped the wrong button.
no, you're fine. I mean, do we not allow people to feed their family, for instance, because we have a gun problem in this country? So do we need to give them, take away the ability for them to hunt? Now, some people have a differencing opinion on killing animals for feeding, but that's a whole nother subject. I don't know, and I don't have an answer for that, thankfully. Or I don't have to have an answer for that, thankfully, I should say.
So we have Otis who wants to join in on the call really quick and has a question.
Okay.
So
Wait, has Otis? Is he a follower of yours?
yeah, he posted in chat. Yeah, we're good.
What? So I just want to make sure that this person isn't a troll.
They've had their account for a long time. They're verified through Twitch, so I would hope that they wouldn't risk anything. But I have the mute button handy. Don't worry.
Okay.
Keep talking while I figure this shit out.
The anticipation's killing me.
Okay. So I'm curious. Do you think that Kim Jong Un is dead? There's a lot of speculation on that.
Is he dead?
There's
Well, and-
speculation on it. Some people are not sure if he's dead or not. There have been different Asian outlets that have reported that he is dead, but some aren't so sure.
There would probably be a lot of chaos in his country if he was dead.
well, maybe, but a lot of people are scared. I mean, they all think he's a god, or at least in that country.
You think it's a hoax, GCAS?
I think it also it comes back to what I was saying earlier. What's the benefit? What's the benefit of him faking his death or confusing everybody if he's dead or alive?
He may be sick. I wouldn't put it past that, but
Well, he had heart problems, and that's one of the things that they're saying that that he may have died of was a botched heart surgery. I bet you that doctor's dead if he's not dead.
Yeah.
I think he's been dead longer than they're saying. I think that they've been trying to keep it covered up. Oh shit, that moved my screen all over. Hold on.
What is this, amateur hour? Jesus.
Don't judge me. Yes, it's amateur hour. I've never used Discord calls before. Shut up. Welcome, Otis.
Thank you for having me here. Looking forward to, discussing with you folks.
Cool.
Did you have a question?
You had brought up about the Medicare in our chat, Otis.
Well, he wants to have free Medicare for animals and a dividend payment of $5,000 a year per animal. And I'm a big fan of animals. I own 4 myself, but that just seems ridiculous to me. And I really don't even know how to start debating it because it just is ridiculous.
Baby, you need to. All right. I haven't seen something about Medicare for animals. Who do you?
Well, his name is his name is Sheldon. I think he's making it up himself. It's his main policy point that he wants to push. And he's actually bringing it into the debate class, and he keeps bringing this up, and it's really becoming a lot of, very much a joke. But he's saying that since I can't prove the reason and actually argue, and I think it's ridiculous to argue, and now he's bringing this up into the class, and I'm going to have to write an essay on this, and it's really driving me nuts.
Interesting.
Well, I couldn't hear. What is it? What is this? What was the first part? I couldn't hear.
That there's a. Oh, go ahead, Otis. If you can re-explain it.
Well, it's hard for me to hear what Otis is saying. Can you repeat it for me? It's the audio.
Does my microphone sound bad? I can take a look and see what's going on.
It's a little muffled. Yeah, if you can see that. So if I understand right, you're seeing or someone in class is talking about a Medicare for all proposal for pets, and you're having a debate with
His name is Gerald, and he kind of is he's this guy that comes into class and comes with all these ideas, and so what he wants is he wants everybody who owns an animal for the pets to get free Medicare for all pets, is what he calls it, instead of Medicare for all pets. And he's trying to push this because he thinks Medicare for all is a good idea, for humans, but he doesn't think that people have empathy for humans. So what he's doing, sorry, the dogs are fighting in the background. Hold on a second.
Well, they want Medicare for all, so and including them.
So he wants it, and he says, okay, well, if we can't have it for people, we're going to push it for animals. And so he came up with this convoluted idea that all Medicare for all animals that people own is going to be covered, okay? And then the other part of it is that everybody gets a $500 per pet. This is not, and he hasn't even explained the details, per pet, $500 tax deductible each year, okay? So so now what's going to happen? People are going to adopt. And he said no cap on it too. So everybody's going to adopt, 10,000 cats, and they're going to get $500 a year. This is going to be a total disaster. And I don't even believe that it's relevant. And the professor says that it's going to. The professor said that it's going to be debated in the class. I don't think it's relevant. I don't even think it's worth discussing because it's self-evident that it's.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a made up. I mean, though I did find an article on Huffington Post about
I have my
why
line ready for this conversation.
that why Medicare for pets should be a thing. So apparently he's not the only one that's talking about it. But we got some weird coming.
Okay.
I think you
I don't have anything stronger, otherwise I'd be drinking it.
I should try and convince the professor just to just skip this, right? I mean, could you imagine writing an essay to counter this? It's like a waste. It's like writing an essay to convince people that murder is bad, just at not even at a philosophical level. That it's just, of course, there should be a law saying that murder is bad. It's just terrible.
right. Interesting. I think if you
I love pets. I have 4 of them. They're in the room with me right now. I don't know if you can hear it, but they're running circles on my chair. Terrible.
I would, if you have to write a paper on it, I would state that exactly. This is why Medicare for all pets is a bad idea.
It's a joke. It's not even just a bad idea. It's a joke.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. I think that's and like I said, I had never heard that, but apparently it is a thing on Huffington Post. Someone wrote an article on it. So I don't know where to go from there.
I'm glad that this is a sanity check because this guy was arguing with me about it, text messages and everything. I'm going to bring this to the professor. You're going to be writing an essay about it, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, well, I don't see what the point is. You're wasting my time. You're wasting everybody's time. You're wasting the class's time to even bring this to the class. So I'm glad just to have kind of like confirmation that maybe I'm not crazy, because this guy was really into it. He was like, this is absolutely a relevant topic, and it's going to change the world. It's going to happen no matter what, because the world tilts toward progress, and these animals are going to get free medical care and $500. And I said to him, well, okay, well, I'm going to adopt 500 cats, and then I'm going to become a billionaire overnight because of my cats, and the government's going to go bankrupt. So, it doesn't make any sense. I'm not arguing this with you. So thank you for the confirmation. I appreciate that.
No.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks
No
for
worries.
bringing it up, and we hope you have a wonderful day, and feel free to hang out.
Thank you, folks. Take it easy. Thanks for, again, thanks for everything and letting me call.
Yeah, no worries.
Sorry about
Have a
the
good
dog
day.
going berserk. I have to keep them in the room with me, otherwise they'll,
No.
furniture or something, choke on something. You can't have that.
No
I'm
worries.
sure you understand.
Yeah,
In this
yeah.
COVID-19 work from home scenario, you obviously have to take precautions, and you have to deal with something you probably didn't have to deal with previously, with all the streams and all that stuff. And
Sure.
obviously, on the Zoom calls, the professor asks a question, the dogs are barking in the background, they yell at me, and I can't stop that, of course.
Yeah, no worries. Have a great day and stay safe.
Take it easy.
You too.
You too. Thanks. Babe, you're fucking up that. You're just fucking everything up.
Every
Like,
time I
me and Anita.
I
Hey,
feel like this is now turning into the Twitch version of C-SPAN.
Oh my god, yes it is.
DCAS, go for it. I mean, we just talked about Medicare Pets for All, right? So
Any
So-
callers out there want to phone in, just let us know.
So that whole time I thought of like the Jewel song in my head, and like how they have this whole like adopt animals with all the really sad music. I just thought of that as like a political commercial.
Okay, so I have an idea.
all right.
If we discuss all the different amendments. It's coming.
Oh,
Sorry.
Donovan wants in on the call.
I'm sorry?
Oh, go for it.
No, we were talking. We had Donovan looking to call in. I'll send you a message on Discord, DCAS, and then
I'm not gonna lie, this is gonna be interesting if you kind of, I could see this running as like the Twitch version of C-SPAN. This is interesting.
I have to get a 1-800 number. I'm gonna have to figure out a better way to do video.
So while that happens, Tyler, did you say something? What did you say about the amendments?
I was just wondering if we wanted to have discussions about the first, second, third, the different amendments over the next coming weekend.
I mean, I have no problem talking about those.
Just
I mean-
something to talk about.
Well, we still need to address the allegations and the new proof that has come up towards Biden and whether or not.
Okay, well then why don't we do that next week? Why don't we make that one of the topics that we talk about, and we can discuss the
Biden.
different
Oh, the amendments.
the amendments. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, and I'll come up with some questions for that too.
Yeah. That'll work.
Well, also, so you're interested in interviewing Ibrahim Tahir?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I'm so excited for that one. I'm so excited.
Yeah. No, it's a little intimidating, to be honest. But no, that'd be awesome. That would be definitely very cool.
Okay, so then let's take DCAS's question. I'll add him to the call, which means the video's gonna fuck up again, so don't judge me.
Oh, I'm totally judging.
Oh my god.
Every single time
I
I'm
need
judged.
to figure out how to make that better. I'll fix it. I'll fix it before next week, I swear. And then we'll
Colonel Spiders with this cornholio.
I need to get an overlay like CNN with scrolling text. Oh my god, I'm gonna do that!
Oh man, look what you did.
Yeah, that'd be super
It's gonna be
cool.
like crazy weird stuff like Katie Bear made spaghetti for dinner. Breaking news.
Oh yeah, and then like the that constant scrolling on the
Yeah. I'm gonna do it. Oh, hold on. Decast, we have to be
I
friends.
love it. I don't know how to do that.
I'm gonna I actually do know how to go up.
Yeah, thanks, Colonel. Thanks.
Alright, Decast, I sent you the link to join. So if you want to jump in and I can fix the screen real quick. How's everyone? And then we can ask your question and what everyone follows up. Hey Rachel, you're here for support. Definitely not a political person, but I'm glad you're here. Welcome to the stream. Oopsie.
Is it working?
Hey, there you are.
Hi.
Hello.
Yes.
So, first things first, before I begin with my topics, I just wanted to give big thank you to Blind Cat, to Katie Bear, and of course the lovely Anita Green, who I absolutely love. All three of you are awesome, and thank you so much for having me.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah.
Good to hear your voice. We've been talking for a few months. Actually, longer than that, right?
I think it was since last year.
Yeah.
I think it was around the time I was starting to come closer to affiliates, so I'd say probably around October of last year. So,
Okay.
now something that I wanted to bring up, and this is a topic that I hold very close to my heart, is the rights of minors as well as protection of trade secrets.
Okay.
I bring this up because way back in the 8th grade, I had actually started working on several trade secrets, and my name was on it. But of course, a lot of people were trying to peek in, and they were like invading my space. And one of them was confiscated, even though it was a trade secret with my name on it. And I think because of the fact that I was a minor at the time, nobody did anything about it. And of course, I could not sue because, well, like I said, I was a minor. I didn't even have a lawyer back then. And of course, when I was brought home after being suspended, my mom took so much stuff with me, including the other trade secret that I had been working on. And of course, she threw that out as well. And I'm pretty sure that probably counts as grand larceny. So do you think that there should be a law or something passed that enforces protection of trade secrets, even if the creator of said trade secret is a minor? What's your opinion on that?
Well, I mean, and Anita, do you have any expertise in this one?
Go ahead.
I honestly think that no matter what the age is, the problem is you have to have it already protected, regardless what age you are. You have to get it, put it in, register it, trademark it, or whatever it is, in order for it to be kept from being taken away. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think you're making sense there.
I don't believe it's age specific. But you do have to take those steps in making sure that that it is, it's proven that it is yours. Otherwise, unfortunately, people can, run off with that. And being in the and I'm applying that to what I do, or what I went to school for, intellectual property. I mean, I can say that I created this character, but if I never protected it and someone takes it, I can't prove that it was mine unless I have documentation of that. At least that's my take on it.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add to that.
So it sucks. I mean, not to put it like so lightly. I mean, it totally sucks. Like, quick little story: when I was in college, we were working on a mod for a game, and EA actually came in to do a presentation to the school, and they looked at our mod, which was of one of their games. It could have been totally coincidental, but their expansion for that game was one of the things that we created in the mod that didn't exist before that. But we have no proof that they took that idea from us. They could have been working on it, well before it.
Well, I should also mention this. I think when somebody creates a trade secret, and you did say that there has to be like documentation and some sort of patent, I think we should also have legal, or not legal, what am I saying? I think we should have like public school education systems like teach stuff like that, so that when some young prodigy, kind of like how I somewhat was at the time, if some child prodigy decides to create a trade secret, they're already prepared for protection, for patents, and any other potential information that they may need to know to protect their professional property. Would you guys agree with me on that as well? Or
No, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of things in high school need to be taught, more so than others. In my program, because I do teach high school, we do talk about copyright and getting your stuff protected. So if you go out there, you're not losing your intellectual property.
yeah, there are so many irrelevant subjects that are being taught in schools. Like, they require us to learn another language when we could learn that on our own time, when they could actually teach us something that is more likely to help us professionally in future businesses, like protection of professional property, or copyright law, or other legal issues that could very well help us maintain a state of preparedness for when these sort of situations come along. I mean, think about the ratios of importance. Like, a second language, if you learn a second language, how soon do you plan on traveling to a country where that second language is the primary language? Very few people actually do that. But meanwhile, there are some that create professional property, but they need protection, but they can't get that protection because they don't know how to go about it, because nobody taught them how to. And so many colleges, they're like really exclusive. Even like community colleges are hard to get to for some people. So why can't we learn about these things earlier in life so that we're prepared for when these things actually occur?
I think we're going to see education in a transition period, or we're in a transition period. I think the way that schools teach these days are probably going to change, hopefully sooner than later. However, topics-wise, that's a little different subject altogether, because it really comes down to the type of school, right? Like in my school, that conversation is easy to access. Copyright, how do you protect your invention, stuff like that. We have, I think 20-something subjects are career tech education that they do cover, that material. But if you're in a standard high school, it's probably they're not thinking that way, right? even though a lot of the high schools here, at least, I can't speak across the country by any means. I know a lot of schools here are starting to get more career tech centered, and so that information would be available and probably would be taught to the students early on. But yeah, I mean, I agree, but I would also disagree with you on the language part. I think we take languages way too late, to be honest. I think if by the time you get into high school, you're not as, or at least I wasn't, that's for sure, adaptable to learning a new language. Whereas if I would have started, say, in 3rd grade, I probably would have had that. And it's not even so much about going to that country where it's spoken fluent. It's about being here, especially in, where you live. Obviously Spanish is a huge language here in the United States. But if I could speak Japanese, I'm fitting in more into my profession. And I probably would have been a lot more valuable in life and making a hell of a lot more money if I knew how to speak Japanese and whatnot. So I agree with you, but I think the subject you picked might have been, I mean, I know what you were trying to do. You were trying to find somewhat of an equivalent that you could, swap out, but language I wouldn't suggest be the one, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you probably have a good point there. And I would like to apologize for anybody that I potentially offended when I tried to make that comparison. I am genuinely sorry.
Okay, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I think you were just trying to come up with an example.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that was all I was trying to do. So there is that. Also, I was talking about trade secrets and copyrights, among other things, but there is another thing that I would like to bring up, and that is the rights of minors. And I bring this up because I was mistreated a lot in my own home. Like, so much of my stuff had been taken from me. Like, it was always take, but hardly anything was like ever given back. And honestly, I think the US should be a lot stricter about these laws. Like, you cannot do this, that, or the other to a minor. And of course, when people go off and do that, they're always like, there's no proof. Your report is invalid. Like, these children could potentially grow up to become the next Albert Einstein or Bill Gates, or if they're continuing to be treated horribly in this bad environment or in this potentially dangerous situation where they could die, they might turn out to be a serial killer. So you gotta start protecting these children. Do you believe that if a child is in a dangerous situation and nobody does anything about that, do you think the people that neglect these issues should be on the hook for reckless endangerment or simply child endangerment, not necessarily reckless, among other sort of crimes against children? Or should they be charged as a potential accomplice?
Well, I think this comes down to the fact that it's just always important to believe victims.
Like, how are they supposed to maintain proof when, like, they don't have access to, like, body cameras or tape recorders, or they don't have access to witnesses who aren't afraid to speak up when the offender tries to threaten or bribe them to, stay quiet? Like, how is the victim supposed to do that when they're in this bad environment and they're at risk of getting brutally harmed or, in worst case scenario, killed?
So there actually is a lot of laws for that. And to be fair, teachers are actually on the hook much more than I think they should be. But they like if a teacher notices that a student is disconnected, when I was in high school, this would have been just a normal high school student, but disconnected, doesn't talk a lot, doesn't participate a lot, doesn't do their homework, stuff like that. That was me as a student. Then we should start talking to them and making sure that everything at home is okay. And if we didn't respond to, or like if we thought that there might be abuse, we're actually on the hook for it. Like as a teacher, I could get fired, maybe even worse, if I thought that there was abuse to a student and I didn't report it. And then it goes up the chain from that point. So there is actually, and this may be different from the time that you went to high school. I'm not exactly sure how old you are.
I'm 23.
Okay, so you may have missed this. I don't know how soon this has all been in there. I've been teaching at a high school since 2016. So you may have got the intel of what this is going on, but it's every year I'm watching more and more stuff that we have to pay attention to make sure that students are not being abused. Now, if you're talking about just mistreatment, as in you don't get shit, you get to come home, you do your homework or whatever, I guess that comes down to the idea of abuse. And then how do you give power to somebody to say, well, all I get to do is come home and do this. I never get free time, as being abuse. There's so many weird, like, little, I don't know, things that could go one way or another on that.
Well, when I typically think of abuse, especially in the home, like the parent is always smacking the kid around, or they're basically like shoving them down the stairs, or pretty much verbally abusing, or pretty much ripping stuff out of the binder, crumpling it up, and then throwing it across the house. And then, of course, when the child calls the parent out on it, the parent then throws something extremely blunt towards that child. And those are the examples that I could come up with at this point because, well, I've been there myself. And it sucked. It really sucked. And when I tried to say something about it, nobody did anything to help me. Nobody.
So I'm sure that in different states, in different places, you obviously will have different people who will take things seriously and not. But like I said, if I see a black eye on a student, I'm by law forced to ask what happened. If I feel like there is something, this wasn't abuse, but I saw a student crying at her desk. This is a couple of years ago, and I had to go. I didn't have to. I don't want to make it sound like I was obligated by law to go do this. I saw her crying, so I asked what was wrong, and she's looking at her phone, and I kind of like overlooked it, and I saw that it was from another student, and he was blaming her for another student's suicide. Right then and there, if I walk away from this situation, I'm going to lose my job, and I could actually get sued for it. Again, that's not the reason why I did this, but I took her phone, I took her, I said, you're going to stay here with me, I'm going to call up front to get someone to watch my class so I can take you up to the principal, we're going to get this straightened out.
Friends, I have to get going, but thank you so much for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, no
Thank you,
worries,
Anita.
Anita. So next week you're gonna be back with and I'm drawing a blank on his name again.
Tahir.
Abraham here.
So you're gonna be in on that interview, correct?
Yeah, I think you should reach out to him on Twitter. See
Yeah,
if he
I will.
Yeah, I can come back.
Okay, and then so this has kind of gotten a little more drawn out than we had expected. We still had another topic that we wanted to talk to. I appreciate you, DCAS, for coming on. We are gonna have to jump to the last thing we wanted to talk about was the allegations with Biden. Bye.
Okay.
So
And then-
sorry to cast. And Anita, thanks for stopping by.
And then I will edit this here in a minute. So,
Okay, so I'm sorry for dragging on as long as I did and probably eating up too much of your time.
No
I'm
worries.
really sorry.
You're fine.
No,
But-
don't apologize, please.
Yeah.
I am glad that I at least got to talk one-on-one with Anita as well as Blind Cat and Katie Bear, and this to me was an absolute huge honor and a huge pleasure, and I've actually learned quite a bit, not just from the topics that you guys have been talking about before I came on, but from Blind Cat's story from when he was working as a teacher. And well, I'm talking about like before all this pandemic stuff had
Gotcha.
shut down so many businesses. I'm sorry, I did not make that clear.
No, you're fine. You're fine. No, thanks for the question, and thanks for stopping in.
Thank you for having me. God bless all of you.
Have a good one.
You too, Katie, and I hope you feel better soon.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Ben, it's coming. She just broke the video. That's all.
Shit.
She breaks everything. No one ever believes me. She breaks it all.
Ah, shit. See, I fucked it up because you had me rushed.
Oh my goodness! Look at that. Now I'm all over the place.
I know.
Just covering chat.
There. Better.
Oh, there we go.
It's just like way like blown out.
But now it's all grainy.
I know. Give me a second.
What'd you do?
I'm fucking
What'd you
shit up.
do?
It's because
For my technical troubles, thanks.
whatever. We'll deal
Kind
with
of
it
like
for
the
a minute.
cover of.
So, I'm gonna have to like look into how to do this video. Technically, come Monday we won't have this problem because Monday we'll have the cord that goes through.
Yeah.
So we won't have to worry about it.
Yeah, we're running on different tech this week.
Yeah. 'Cause we can...
And it's not dial-up, Ben. It's Taco Bell Wi-Fi. Thank you.
Thank you, Spider.
You yell at Taco Bell. Okay, they should have fixed that shit.
So, are you still here, Tyler?
No, he probably hung up.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
Oh, no,
there he
there
is.
I've got very bad reception.
No worries. God damn it! I'm trying to edit this thing. It's driving me nuts. Anyway, did we want to discuss the whole? I know that you wanted to talk about.
Rachel, by law, it has to be. And also to that, I've had to deal with a lot of children with disabilities constantly. It's
Yeah.
on both ends, right? So, as a parent and as a teacher.
So we were gonna discuss, and we can bring it up really quick before we call it. Was the new allegations and the new proof, I guess you could say, about the allegations against Joe Biden. And
Well, yeah, it's new proof of. One of the things that I noticed this week is the new, not the new allegation. They keep saying that, but it's the new proof to support the allegations of that Biden did sexually assault Tara Reid. And I think this kind of goes into. I know this might seem like I'm overstretching here, but what the media is doing to protect Biden should be a huge screaming problem in our politics. When you have a conglomerate like CNN covering issues, no, Tara Reid is not. No, she was a wrong Tara Reid. Tara Reid was someone who worked with Joe Biden early on in his Senate career. From what I'm reading, CNN actually removed the episode where Tara Reid's mom called in to oh my god, why am I blanking on his name? Someone in chat fix me up here. I agree, she does. Oh, absolutely, it is in politics. Larry King. So Larry King was running a show. Tara Reid's mom called in and talked about the event of her daughter. Didn't say any names, but talked about the event that happened to her daughter from a prominent senator. And Tara Reid confirmed that that was her mother's voice on there. And then CNN, and so what blows me away, had they wanted to say, no, Biden didn't do that, why remove that episode? That episode has been removed to look back and watch it again. Obviously, it was found before they got rid of it, or someone dug it up in their technical internet savviness. I think it just goes to show that we need to start paying attention to what our media is doing and how it's pushing our politics. Whether you like Bernie Sanders or not, you can't say that media did not destroy Bernie Sanders' chances both times. I keep hearing beeping. Sorry, it keeps distracting me. I gotta. Sexist assholes. Well, I don't think it's recent. I think it's probably always been that way. Probably not every single guy that ran for a and there goes Tyler throwing out his subs.
Geck, go away.
Well, there's reason for that, right? There's reasons why allegations always come out right around the time when someone's going to go up for election. It's either A, you have the people who are going to try to disprove the worth of somebody, or you have someone who's been dealing with an event such as sexual assault, and then seeing that person could possibly become one of the most powerful people in the world. And when it gets to that point, I mean, I don't know what's in Tara Reid's heart. I'm not going to try to assume that, but this wasn't the first time she brought these allegations up. It's just the first time that it's actually started gaining traction, which also says a lot about our politics. And I agree with that as well, Spider. I think people with power, period, could have or probably have something that has taken place in their past. I mean, and just being a male, I'm sure I've done things that, looking back now, I probably would have never done with my thought. Not that I raped anybody or anything like that, but just so there's probably some things that I probably said or treated someone a certain way that probably it was probably shitty then, and it would be a bigger deal at this point. I agree with that, but I don't think. Again, I don't know what's in Tara Reid's heart, but I don't think Tara Reid came out because she wants Trump to be a president again. I don't think she was paid. I mean, I agree with DCAS too. I think she deserves her day in court. I think she should be able to say exactly what it is, tell her story, and I think Biden should have to face his accuser. I think what pisses me off more than anything is anything that can damage Biden's chances of being elected are being swept under the rug. And I think that's one of my main problems with, especially the vote blue no matter who crowd. That shit drives me absolutely fucking bonkers. So, is there anything else on that besides that one story that we didn't talk about?
What story didn't we talk about?
I'm asking.
Oh, I don't think so. So next week, I'm just again fucking ridiculously horrible with names. We will be interviewing
A Green Party candidate.
yes, to hear a Green Party candidate that's running
Amen.
this year. So we'll have him on.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, I'm gonna reach out to
we're
him.
gonna-
He's already
yeah.
agreed that he'd be willing to do it. Just whether or not the times work out is gonna be what we're gonna figure out. So hopefully we'll be doing that. We're also going to discuss more into actual. What's the fucking word?
Amendments?
Amendments.
Is that where you're going?
That was it.
So let's put a little bit of a, if this happens then this won't kind of thing, just in case. If we do get the interview next week, then that may take up the entire time, depending on how long he has to talk about his policies and his run. If we don't, then we'll talk about the amendments. If we have time to do both, then we'll have time to do both. But to be honest, his schedule may not work for a Sunday at 5:00. So, we'll have to discuss that at that point. It'd be cool. I be my first interview of a politician. Be fair, last week was the first time I started talking about politics on air. If you couldn't tell.
Yeah, totally tell. Fucking pleb.
Yeah, says the one who fucks the video up constantly.
Shut up. All right. Well, thanks for being here as well, Tyler, and listening in and dropping all your subs like every fucking time.
No, I'll have to write those up, Spider. I'm very interested in the Green Party, so not necessarily for a party I want to join by any means, but the first time I had kind of heard of the Green Party was who was that one? Roseanne Barr was in it.
Oh,
It was the first time I ever heard of it. I think it was the Green Party, but then obviously the most notable one that I've known is Jill Stein, and a lot of Jill Stein's policies I agreed with, so it'll be interesting. And it's a third party candidate who's it's not the. I'm hoping it's not gonna be the same, safe politic answers.
fair enough. So we'll definitely keep you guys posted on whether or not that's going to happen. So if you're not part of the Discord, make sure you join it. It'll be posted there. If you guys have any other questions,
By the way, I love that Biden has dementia.
the followers.
Yeah.
So we will hopefully have some other interesting topics. If you guys have any questions or any topics you would like us to cover, feel free to post it in Discord as well. Then we will definitely try and get back to you guys on that. Thanks again for Anita. Thanks for Tyler. Thanks for the other callers that decided to call in and discuss with us. We're hoping to do that a little more, and I'll have more of my stuff ready, so next week our video won't be so shitty. I'm also going to be
You
doing
can't remember it either, Spider. Don't worry about it.
I'll be doing a new overlay. Looks like CNN with the scrolling news. Super fucking excited to try that. So we're actually going to take a break from this monotony of politics, and we're going to drop a raid over to Slevin. He's a great streamer, super awesome. Make sure you let him know that we sent you. He's playing Final Fantasy, and I'm super jealous. So, but again, thanks for everyone that came and being super supportive. We need Blind to continue to do this. So you gotta show him that you all love him doing it.
See you guys.
I feel like I've been showing that pretty well.
Yeah, no, you do. So much that I feel bad. So
Thanks, Tyler.
thank you again. Have a great one, guys, and tell Slev that I said hi.